Hi guys, good morning. Welcome to the Cult of Calcio Bar Sport, where we bring you the best of Italian and international football. I'm Matteo, I'm your host, and today we have a special guest, live from Madrid, Carlos. Hola.
Ciao, ciao. Hola, buenos días. How is it going?
Buenos dias. I mean, I'm not going to try my Spanish, honestly. Let's try to stick to English for the day. Carlos is a member of the Cult of Calcio staff. As you can see from his shirt, or perhaps you can't because this is a black shirt, but well, I guess it's clear what team do you support.
Indeed. The best team in the world. So it was an easy choice.
Oh, easy choice. So is that AC Milan or?
Okay, we are supporting the two best teams in the world. Let's put it
Indeed. Indeed. Well, I support AC Milan, of course, but today, since we're going to be talking mostly about Inter, I didn't wear my AC Milan jumper. I tried to be neutral, and I put my Togo national team T-shirt. While you could have your Real Madrid one. But, I mean, Carlos is not only a Real Madrid fan, he's a socio, right?
That's correct. Since I'm 9 years old, since 1994, I'm a proud socio of Real Madrid, yeah.
What is a social? Tell us a little bit more about that. It's like the most hardcore fan that you can be.
Yeah, actually, it has a lot of story behind, and it has evolved a lot in the last years for many things that I will explain now. But basically, the origins of the club was born in 1902, so a long time ago, and everybody who wanted to become part or a membership is basically becoming a membership of the club, and you pay a fee every month to become a socio. But what makes it really interesting here, in compared to any other clubs in the world, I think there is only 3 clubs right now worldwide, maybe 4, that they have still this system, which means it can't be any private owner of the club. So I'm officially like an owner of the club, and every 4 years there is an election. So it works like a democracy, and obviously there is certain conditions you need to have to apply to become the president of Real Madrid. One of them is to be at least 20 years a socio.
Wow.
That's one of the requirements, and then there's many other requirements, obviously some other financial requirements. So, but that's a way of protecting the club. When in the 90s, the law changed in Spain, all the clubs became private properties, let's say, and except 4 of them, which is Real Madrid, Barcelona, Athletic Bilbao, and Osasuna. So all those 4 clubs, I think, are the only ones who have socios. And by default, every 4 years, they change the president. Like you probably heard what's happening in Barcelona now. The president resigned, and in January they have elections. So this is what means become a socio. So you have a certain power. You can make a president step down, like it happens in Barcelona 2 weeks ago, and you can also have the power to choose the new president. So
got it. So well, you're fully entitled to talk about Real Madrid.
Yeah, thanks. And one more thing actually that I could add to this, that it's a big change that happened recently. Due to the massive amount of requirements to become a socio, now it's not allowed anymore because it was such a huge waiting list for years. So only the sons and daughters of current socio members can become socios, which means, for example, I just became a father 6 months ago, and last week I can proudly say that my daughter is a socio of Real Madrid. Her number is over 100,000 now, so it's a very high number. And but yeah, it's becoming a little bit like, it's bad to say, but like aristocracy. Now it goes by blood to become a socio, so it's quite interesting. Yeah.
She must be the youngest socio at the moment, probably your daughter.
Yeah, but I'm sure because this happens, I think, a week ago. In the last week, I'm sure some other socio had a daughter or a son, and probably. So it's difficult to know, but if it's not the youngest, at least it's in the top 5 for sure.
Indeed. Awesome. So yeah, we're gonna be talking about Real Madrid today, of course, because there's a big match with Inter in Champions League group stage round 4. But guys, before that, we are an international magazine. We cover Italian football, of course. If you like what you're hearing today, please show some love to us. Click on the like button and subscribe to our podcast so we can always be up to date with what's going on in the world of Calcio. But without further ado, Inter, Real Madrid, they meet each other for the second time in 3 weeks. it was quite an interesting game 3 weeks ago. Real won 3-2, but Inter, I mean, they gave them quite a hard time.
Indeed, indeed. Honestly, it's shocking because when you see at this group and you see now that the Real Madrid is in the 3rd place and Inter is in the 4th place, at the beginning of the tournament, I don't think anybody would have bet on that, right? No one would say that Borussia Mönchengladbach would be 1st and Shakhtar 2nd. But the whole thing changed by the shocking victory of Shakhtar here in Madrid. And now we are only in the 4th game of the season, and it's already a final. It's a final because even more to Inter, because Inter has to win yes or yes. I think if they lose tonight, they might be out of the next round, which make it even tougher. So, but the first game was so interesting, and it was very, very equal. It's funny because I think both teams, they are in a way of, I would say they're transitioning between periods. So they are trying to rebuild. They are doing it in a different way. I think Real Madrid is more of trying to hire very young players, especially from Brazil, Latin America, and also from the Spanish academy system. And Inter, I think Conte, because he wants to have this quick success, he's hiring a lot of very experienced players. I don't want to say old, but some of them like Ashley Young.
I would say that, yeah.
Yeah, it's shocking. Even Lukaku already, I mean, he's younger, but he's still a very, very experienced player. So obviously this kind of coaches who need immediate success, because in clubs like Real Madrid and Inter, you cannot spend 2 or 3 seasons without lifting any trophies. So you have to do it that quickly. So they are transitioning in very different ways, but they are both super competitive, and they found themselves very early at the season in a very complicated situation. So I don't know what's your point of view, Matteo, with Inter?
Oh, indeed. I mean, it sounds kind of weird hearing transition apply to Real Madrid. We're not being used to see Real transitioning for probably more than a decade, right? They were using to dominate, especially in Europe. So yeah, it's a very weird situation for them. Inter, I mean, and again, I'm trying to speak about Inter impartially because, I'm an AC Milan fan, so I'm not going to deny that. But I'm going to tell you something. Inter has been on fire this past few days. Last Sunday, they played against Torino. They won 4-2, and they won basically Inter style. Here we call them Pazza Inter, crazy Inter, meaning that you never know what's going to happen when Inter plays. And they were trailing 0-2 after 1 hour in the game. And still, they managed to score 4 in the last 30 minutes. Lukaku made a brace. Lautaro scored another goal, and Sanchez also scored. So I'll tell you, they'll come in a pretty good shape, and they're going to be on fire. And plus, their lineup, it's pretty much the ideal one. They're going to be missing only Brozovic from the starting 11. So yeah, I mean, I would say if I was a Real Madrid fan, I would be careful on how I approach the game tonight.
Especially, and in Madrid is happening the opposite. The 2 most important players, what we call in Spain vacas sagradas, which is Sergio Ramos and Benzema.
How do we call them?
Vacas sagradas. Like
what does that mean?
Like the holy cows in India that you cannot touch them. So when you have players like this that they are always in the 11, for example, Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo when he was in Real Madrid, right? Those are it's a vaca sagrada. They always are in the starting 11, no matter what. So these players who have this seniority and this leadership among the changing room, and they are always in the starting 11. And I think in Madrid currently, those are the only 2 real vacas sagradas left, Ramos and Benzema, and they are both out of the team today. So honestly, if you ask any Real Madrid fan today, a team with or without Ramos, I think it's going to be challenging. It's going to be challenging. But honestly, I would sign up for a draw tonight. I think a draw would be a great result considering that then we have Borussia at home and the last game in Ukraine. I think we could make it, but it's going to be very, very tough. It's going to be a very long game for us.
Oh yeah, indeed. So who's going to stop Lukaku in your opinion, considering that Sergio Ramos is not going to be there, in the middle of the defense? And as you said, he has a very important role, even when it comes to charisma and leadership within the starting 11.
Yeah, I think the one-on-one there, it definitely has to be Varane, because body-wise, I think it's the only one who could. It's impossible to hold Lukaku, but the only one who body-wise could do this boxing actions with him could be Varane. But yeah, he has something in common with Benzema. I consider them probably, and maybe together with Zlatan, the three best players in the world who play with the ball not looking at the goal, like holding and waiting for the team to come and playing the ball with the chest. So Lukaku, Benzema, and Zlatan, they are masters of this. So, and this gives so much power, especially with the Inter style of playing, when you have to sometimes do a very quick attack, counter attack, and just few those two extra seconds that Lukaku gives you to wait for the other attackants, Lautaro or Alexis. Sometimes it's amazing. And honestly, when he signed up for Inter, I wasn't sure about it because his time in Manchester United was not great. I don't think it was great, but he proved that he's having a second youth, literally. And
Totally.
which is also the case with Benzema. I think it's funny to say, but Benzema best years in Madrid, I think best seasons, are the toughest one. The last 2-3 seasons where Real Madrid was not going far in the Champions League and winning in Champions League, those are the years where Benzema is scoring more goals. And really, since Cristiano Ronaldo left, he took that step up and he started to score all the goals that Cristiano was providing. So it's they are both of them on fire right now.
I truly agree with that. I really think that, since Cristiano left Madrid, he basically had more space and he could truly show what it's made of. I mean, he was showing that even before that. He's been a Real for quite a long time, but he has such a huge presence of Cristiano Ronaldo that he probably couldn't even get the space that he deserved. So yeah, that he would have been one to watch for, but luckily for Inter, he's not going to be on the game tonight. One of the players that I'm going to be looking with a lot of interest, honestly, is Hakimi among the Inter lines. And that's because, of course, he's an ex-Real player. But also, in the first game 3 weeks ago, he probably made up his most terrible performance since he moved to Milan. I mean, the first goal was totally came from one back pass, awkward back pass that basically, led to Real's first goal. So I think it's going to be up for some payback time, or at least trying to redeem himself. So he's one that I would be watching for tonight.
He will. It was a lot of controversy this summer because if you ask most of the fans here, were very sad and disappointed because everybody wanted. We call him Ashraf here, not more than Hakimi. He's been in the youth academy of Real Madrid for such a long time, and everybody loved the guy. He made such a great loan period in Borussia Dortmund, so literally everybody thought he's coming back for sure. And then in times of COVID, the president together with the coach, because they had a very good offer, they thought that to get this offer, it's great this time, and we needed, the club needed some, definitely it was a financial issue because I'm sure the coach and the president like the player. And it's a player who's been playing on the left side in Borussia Dortmund. Also, he plays sometimes as a left side in the national team in Morocco. He plays also as a center back. He basically dominates all the aspects of the game, and it was very sad to see him leaving. So, and especially right after that, Carvajal got injured for a couple of months, and then Odriozola, which is the right back substitute, got injured as well. He's still injured. So we had to be using Lucas Vázquez for the last 2 months in that position, and a lot of people were thinking about Hakimi those times. But definitely great signing, and I have no doubts that he's gonna perform in Inter for many years. Great player.
Yeah, indeed. We're gonna be seeing about that. I'm gonna ask you a very straight question. Final score for tonight.
Final score, I want to say 1-1.
1-1. Okay.
Yeah, I think that would be a good score. And depending on what happens in the other game, we will have the advantage that the Borussia and Shakhtar are playing at 7. So when the game starts, we know what are the options of both teams. Because if they draw, I think even with a draw, Inter will still have some chances. And so it depends a lot what's happening in the other game. If Borussia wins, and I think Borussia has a very clear path now. But if they draw, I think everything will be still very open. So I would say 1-1 would be a good result, like considering what I mentioned, that Benzema and Ramos are out of the team. So this is a big problem. So yeah, what about you? What do you think? What's going to be the final score?
So, okay, well, now I'm going to compromise myself because, again, not being a supporter of Inter, of course, whatever I say should be taken, as a grain of salt. But I'd say Inter needs to win. because it's, as you said, it's do or die for them. If they don't manage to win tonight, they're going to be in real trouble. So their chance to qualify for the knockout stage are going to decrease significantly. Plus, they are in full lineup. They're only missing Brozovic. They're recovering Lautaro from the start. I would say 2-1 Inter.
Okay.
So
sounds realistic. Sounds realistic.
Indeed. Kickoff time is at 8:45 p.m. Central Europe time. So we just cannot wait, to see what's probably the most important game in this Champions League round 4.
Actually, 9 o'clock. It's 9 o'clock, because it's 9 o'clock. They changed
9
the
o'clock.
9 o'clock, yeah.
Indeed, 9 o'clock. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, 8:45 is that's for Serie A games usually. So 9 o'clock Central is the Central Europe time, and as I said, we just cannot wait. Since we're on the topic, I'm going to ask you something about the transfer market. In Inter and Real Madrid at the moment, they have two players who are in a very similar situation. I would say they are basically out of the starting 11 since quite some time. For Inter, we're talking about Christian Eriksen, of course, and for Real Madrid, that's Isco. And honestly, I would never have expected that when it comes to Isco.
No, it's shocking. What's happening the last days, especially because Isco is considered as a protege of Zidane, right? Everybody says that he took out of the team James Rodriguez to give more minutes to Isco. So he's definitely being a protege of Zidane. He's been trying in every way. He put him in many different kind of field positions, but in the last year and a half, 2 years, a lot of fans are not so happy with the performance. They even consider that he's not physically fit, etc., etc. Nobody has doubts about him technically. Everybody knows what he's able to. But then even in the national team, he's not called anymore for the national team. So in summer, they asked him apparently if he wanted to stay or not. He said, yes, I fully commit, I want to stay. But 5 days ago, he had a meeting with the president, and he announced that he would like to be released in the winter market. And together with that, it was on the opposite side. Eriksen is a player pretended by Florentino Perez for the last 2-3 seasons. There's been a lot of talks about him coming and joining. So in the main media here in Spain for the last 3 days, they are saying that the swap between Eriksen and Isco now is there's 80-85% chance that might happen now in January. So, and they say there is no money involved, just to swap Eriksen for Isco. They're quite similar players. They're both technically very good. I'm not so convinced because they are both very irregular, a lot of up and downs, and they do a great performance. Next day they disappear. I don't know what's your opinion on it, but
well, I mean, personally, I have a memory of Isco, and it's not a nice one. I remember an international game. It was like for World Cup 2018 qualifiers, Spain, Italy. Spain won 3-0. It was probably the beginning of the end for Italy towards their demise from the World Cup. And I remember a phenomenal performance on part of Isco. So every time that I happen to see him playing, he's always on his ups. I never managed to experience his downs. So yeah, personally, I like him. I really think he's a player that can make a difference. And that's why I'm quite surprised to see him, out of the starting lineup in a team where he's been a protagonist until not some time ago. So I would love to see him in Italy. Yesterday on the Cult of Culture, we wrote an article speculating about whether he would fit in Juventus, Inter, or AC Milan, which are probably the 3 teams that could afford him at the moment. So I would be looking forward to see him playing, no matter in which of the 3.
I think it would be, he needs a change, definitely, I'm sure. He's still young, so if he managed to get this spark and energy and this inspiration, I think he could be back for sure. And I think he's thinking about the Euro this summer, so he wants to be in the national team. He hasn't been in the national team for almost 2 years now. He wanted back, and he knows he will not be back, I think, if he stays in Real Madrid. So definitely he's looking for that move. I think the right move for him could definitely be Inter. Then again, in the system of Conte, also it's difficult to position him. Like Eriksen is experiencing this. Eriksen, as a surprise to everyone, is not in the starting 11. So I'm not sure if Conte will try to put him on a side. And then again, but with Hakimi on one side and Ashley Young on the other side, that are very players who play very long. I'm not sure exactly where he could even as a creative midfielder he could be playing there. But definitely he has to give it a try. He needs a change. I think Real Madrid also needs a change. And we'll see what's going. It's going to be interesting if both of them play tonight. Actually, Eriksen versus Isco, because it could be the same game in a few weeks. Could be playing for opposite
yeah,
teams, so.
indeed. I don't expect that, to be honest. Well, Eriksen for sure is not going to be among the starters. He's on the bench. Perhaps we could see him later in the game. But yeah, it could be an interesting, an interesting outcome. Well, I mean, as I said, we would be happy to welcome Isco in the Serie A. Serie A has been forging a reputation recently for revamping some careers, including Lukaku. I would say he probably hit his peak already at Manchester United, but now at Inter, he's really exploding. So
Absolutely.
yeah, let's see what happens. We're going to be talking about transfer market many more times in the future. The time that we have today is almost up. So Carlos, thank you very much for being with us today. And we'll look forward to see you again where we're going to talk more about Real Madrid and Spanish football more in general in the future.
Sounds good. Thanks a lot for the invite, and I'm sure we'll have more chances to talk about all these nice, interesting topics. So
awesome. And guys, thank you very much for looking at us today. We are the Cult of Calcio. We are an international magazine. We cover Italian football in English, so for an international audience. If you like what you've seen today, show us some love. Please support, hit on the like button, subscribe to our YouTube channel, because we're going to be publishing more and more videos and more conversation about the best of Calcio and international football. But until the time, have a great day, and we'll speak soon.